Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. In today's episode, we're exploring a startup called C2.
Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving into intelligent automation, or IA, but not just the tech itself. We're going behind the scenes with CTWO, a company that's changing how businesses are maximizing their automation investments.
Yeah, they're really trying to solve the so what of automation, you know?
Right, like it's not enough to just have bots doing tasks. It's got to be more.
Gotta be more than that.
Yeah, so how are they doing that?
Well, they call themselves automationists by trade, problem solvers at heart.
I like that.
Yeah, and their website talks a lot about maximizing those IA investments that companies are making, making sure it actually delivers.
So what jumped out at you when you were going through all their material?
Honestly, what's so fascinating here is how they're tackling this idea of orchestration.
Okay.
Orchestration.
Because we hear about automation a lot.
Right.
But orchestration, that's a whole other level. What is that?
It's like this, imagine instead of having your automation on like a fixed schedule, right? It's listening for cues. A new order comes in, bam. The bot springs into action.
Oh, wow.
An invoice needs approval, boom. The system automatically routes it to the right person.
I see.
It's about agility. It's about responsiveness, making automation so much smarter.
So instead of having like a bunch of bots all working in their own little silos,
Exactly.
CTWO is kind of like the conductor.
Yes, exactly. And you know what that does?
What's that?
That solves a huge pain point for companies who have invested, sometimes millions of dollars into automation.
Right.
But they're not seeing that return.
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
All the time, right? You invest in all this fancy tech, but then it's a struggle to manage it, to monitor it, to actually prove that it's making a difference.
Yeah, because if you can't measure it, how do you even know if it's working?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those struggles, those translate to very real costs.
Like what?
Okay, think about missed deadlines because the scheduling is not agile enough, or overwhelmed teams.
Because they're so busy trying to manage the robots.
Exactly. They're bogged down in troubleshooting because they lack visibility into what's actually happening.
Right. It's like you're conducting an orchestra, but each musician has a different sheet music.
And their eyes closed.
And the conductor has earplugs in.
Exactly.
That's no way to run an orchestra.
No. And that lack of visibility, it kills confidence. Stakeholders need to see clear, measurable results to justify the investment.
Absolutely. So how does CTWO approach this whole challenge differently? Because I'm seeing on their website, they're talking about a single pane of glass.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Okay, so picture this like a central command center for all your automation.
Okay.
CTWO provides a real-time dashboard that shows you exactly how your automation processes are performing.
Wow.
Where the bottlenecks are, how much time is being saved, even potential issues before they arise.
But you can get ahead of it.
You get ahead of it. It's like having X-ray vision into your operations.
So no more earplugs for the conductor.
No more earplugs.
They can actually see what's happening and make adjustments in real time.
Precisely. And that's incredibly valuable, especially for large companies with these complex workflows.
Absolutely. And CTWO backs up this approach with some pretty impressive features. I'm seeing here they've got their AI-powered orchestration.
Yes.
So it's not just monitoring, it's actually like making decisions.
It's making decisions on the fly. So it prioritizes tasks dynamically to meet deadlines. And get this, it can boost bot capacity by 53%.
53%. You're telling me I can get almost twice as much done?
Essentially, yes, without hiring more people.
Without hiring more people. That's amazing.
It's incredible. Just imagine the possibilities. Shorter lead times, happier customers.
Happier employees even?
Happier employees because they're less stressed.
Right, because they're not the ones having to manage all these robots.
Exactly. It's a powerful example of how AI can optimize those processes.
And speaking of efficiency, CTWO also talks about something called automated operations.
Yeah.
Is this where we get into robots managing robots?
Well, not quite robots managing robots, but close.
Okay.
This feature is all about automating the routine maintenance and the troubleshooting that bogs down automation initiatives.
Which, let's be honest, can be a real pain.
A real pain.
Yeah.
But imagine a system that can automatically detect and resolve 90% of those common errors that would normally require a human to step in.
90%? That's incredible. Are we talking about like a self-healing system here?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And think about what that means. You're freeing up so much human capital.
Right. So instead of fixing robot problems, They can focus on something more strategic.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving time and money. It's about reducing those errors.
Because robots are very good at being consistent.
Extremely consistent. And when you automate those routine tasks, you eliminate the risk of human error.
Right. To err's human, but to really mess things up, you need a robot.
Exactly.
Just kidding, of course. But reliability is key.
It's paramount.
And more reliable outcomes usually translate to happier customers.
Absolutely.
But how do companies actually prove that their automation efforts are delivering these fantastic results we're talking about?
Right. They need data.
They need data.
And that's where CTWO's insights and analytics come in.
Okay, so it's not just trusting that the automation is working. It's about having the numbers to back it up.
You have to have those numbers, especially if you want to get buy-in from leadership.
Yeah, right. They need to see those reports.
They need to see those reports. And CTWO provides real-time performance tracking customizable reports so you can see the impact of your automation.
I love that because it takes all the guesswork out of it.
Exactly.
You can actually see how much time you're saving, how much money you're saving, and ultimately whether it's actually improving your bottom line.
And customer satisfaction.
Right, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
It is.
So we've talked about how CTWO helps companies manage and monitor their automation, but what about integration? Because most businesses are using a whole bunch of different software.
Right, it's not just one tool for everything.
So how does CTWO make sure their platform can play nicely with others?
That's where their integration hub comes in.
Okay, tell me more about that.
They offer a range of connectors and APIs, so it can connect with other popular platforms like Microsoft Power Automate, for example.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can automate even more of those complex cross-functional processes.
It's like CTWO is the central nervous system coordinating all these different parts of a business
Exactly.
to make it work more effectively.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. And speaking of seeing how this actually works in the real world, CTWO highlights a lot of customer success stories. And I was reading about O2 Telefonica.
Yeah, they're a great example of a company facing growing pains.
Because they're huge.
They're huge, and as they were expanding, their existing automation just couldn't keep up.
It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get very far.
And CTWO's AI-powered orchestration enabled them to handle that growth without sacrificing speed or efficiency.
Which is critical in today's fast-paced world. You snooze, you lose, right?
Absolutely. Another company that I thought was really interesting was MedScheme.
MedScheme, what do they do?
They deal with healthcare claims processing.
Oh, wow.
Which, as you can imagine, has to be one of the most paperwork-heavy fields out there.
Oh, I bet. And accuracy is critical in healthcare.
Absolutely. Any delays or errors can have serious consequences.
Of course. So how did CTWO help them?
CTWO helped MedScheme achieve a 185% improvement in claims processing time.
185%? Are you serious?
Yes, and they made their robotic workforce more stable.
So they're getting things done faster and with fewer errors.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It is. And when you think about a global consumer goods company like Newell Brands,
Yeah.
they were able to double their automation capacity. Double and reduce manual effort by 77%.
77%. That's amazing.
Imagine the impact that has on their bottom line.
Right. It's not just saving a few minutes here and there. It's fundamentally changing how they operate.
Exactly. And then there's Eon, a massive energy company.
Okay, I've heard of them.
They saw a 25% reduction in their total cost of ownership.
Wow, overnight, practically.
Overnight, it's what every company dreams of. But what's really impressive is they achieved 99% SLA adherence.
Wow, so they're meeting their agreements.
They're meeting their agreements consistently.
Which in a sector like energy is absolutely crucial.
Because reliability and customer trust are paramount.
Absolutely. So looking at all these different companies, it's clear that CTWO's approach goes beyond just implementing software.
But it's about a partnership.
It's about helping these businesses rethink how they work.
It's about solving real business problems, not just selling technology for technology's sake.
Right, and they seem to really walk the walk, too. Their website talks about being automationists by trade, but problem solvers at heart.
I love that, and what's interesting is they go beyond just product features.
What do you mean?
They have a whole section dedicated to resources, customer stories, even events.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're building a community around automation, not just a customer base.
I like that a lot.
It speaks to their vision of empowering businesses to become more self-sufficient with automation.
Instead of just relying on vendors or consultants.
Exactly. It's about mastering the tools themselves.
Which makes a lot of sense because ultimately the more you understand the technology, the more you can get out of it.
Precisely. And that brings us to CTWO's broader vision for the future of work.
Was
But fascinating. It really is. What struck me was how they're emphasizing the human element of this whole thing.
because you hear so much about automation replacing jobs.
Right, exactly. And they're pushing back on that narrative. They're talking about building a future where humans and technology work together.
I like that a lot.
It's not about replacing human intelligence. It's about augmenting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Freeing us to focus on higher value tasks.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Okay, so for our listeners who have been with us on this deep dive so far, what are some key takeaways they should be thinking about?
Well, if you're considering or maybe already investing in automation, it's not enough to just look at the technology.
You gotta have a plan.
You gotta have a plan. What problems are you trying to solve?
What are you trying to achieve?
Exactly. How can you make sure that automation is agile?
Yeah.
Adaptable, aligned with your business goals?
Because if it's not moving the needle, why are you even doing it?
Right. And that's what CTWO really brings to the table. It's a more holistic and strategic approach.
It's not just saying, hey, buy our robots. It's about saying, let's work together to figure out how to make your business better.
Exactly. It's about orchestration, thinking beyond those individual tasks and looking at the entire system.
Big picture.
The big picture, exactly. And I think they've given us a lot to consider.
They have. They've got me thinking about all the ways we could be using automation better, even in our own work.
Right. Well, and what's exciting about this is that it's still early days.
Oh, yeah.
We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible with AI and automation.
So you think companies like CTWO are going to be leading the charge?
Absolutely. They're the ones shaping the future of how we work.
It's really exciting to think about all the possibilities, but like you said, it's still early days, so where do we go from here?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. So for our listeners who are maybe feeling inspired right now, but also a little overwhelmed, like, where do they even begin?
Right. Well, I think the first step is to really define what success looks like for you.
Okay, so before you even look at software,
Before you even think about robots, ask yourself, what are the biggest pain points in my business right now? Where am I seeing the most inefficiencies?
so really get clear on the problems you're trying to solve.
Exactly, because once you understand the problems, then you can start looking for solutions. And that's where companies like CTWO come in.
Because they're not just selling software, they're offering guidance and expertise.
Exactly. They've been there, they've seen the challenges, and they know how to help businesses navigate this new world of intelligent automation.
It's like having a trusted advisor in your corner, someone who can help you cut through the hype and develop a strategy that actually makes sense for your unique needs.
Precisely. It's about working smarter, not harder. And I think that's a message that resonates with everyone.
Absolutely well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
I agree. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the challenges of automation to the incredible potential it holds for the future.
And we've learned a lot about how CTWO is helping businesses unlock that potential.
They're definitely a company to watch in the coming years as this whole field continues to evolve.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what they come up with next.
Me too. Well, that's it for this deep dive into the world of intelligent automation and CTWO. Thanks for joining us. And remember, the future of work is waiting to be orchestrated.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.